Hey everyone, it's Nat back again. Today we're going to have a play with Paper Rose Lotus Bouquet stamp set again. It's going to be, honestly, it's going to be a similar card to last week. We're just going to do some things a little bit differently, and you can see how colouring things up and adding a couple of bits and pieces can change things around. So it is a similar similar card as last week, but hopefully you will find it interesting. So we've got some craft cardstock here. We are stamping this down with the Versamark clear embossing powder. It's not a powder, clear embossing ink. It's going to be a great day already. I'm going to stamp this a few times because I was struggling a little bit. Maybe my Versamark is finally, after all this time, getting a little bit dry. So I'm pretty sure I need to re-ink that. So we've got some white embossing powder. And as you can see, we are going to stamp this quite a few times. I am not going to be colouring up all these images. What I'm actually going to do is we're going to layer this baby up. We're going to take bits and pieces out of it and change it around and hopefully make a card that you like, because I like it. I think it's really, really cool. It's something I wanted to have a play with for quite a while. So what I'm going to do is coloured pencils and Prismacolor pencils, but you can use any waxy colour pencil, and we're going to have a play with white colour pencil and see how that blends everything in. So this is a chart I've got from Sandy Olnock. This is not a Leslie thing, unfortunately, but this just matches up. I'm just picking some colours. I don't necessarily want them directly close together, but you can see there I just picked a couple that were very, very close together. So we've got our white pencil. We're layering it down to give us that white base, and then we're going to slowly build up our colour. I'm not pressing very hard with my pencils. The key here is to layer this all up. And if you press too hard, you're going to fill up the tooth of the cardstock. And you're not really going to have, I don't know the correct saying, but you're not going to be able to have quite so much definition and colour to it. So I put my white base. I go in with my shadows, and actually I'll come in a little bit, and I will speed this up very, very soon. And I'm talking to friends while I colour this, so forgive me for just getting very distracted there. So keep blending using a very light hand. Then I go over the whole thing in white, and then once again I will add a little bit more of the definition in. And I didn't do it with that one, but I did look away, so I don't know whether I'm going to. There you go. I told you I go back in. All right. A little bit more color, a little bit more texture to the petal. So as I said, I'm not going to color all of these suckers in. I will cut it for the ease of you watching. I am going to cut it up a little bit, and I will speed it up, and then when we come back, we will have my panels all cut. This took me quite a while because, as you can see, I have 3. And I don't use all of them, but at this point I wasn't really too sure what I wanted to do and how I was going to do it, which leaves I was going to use and which ones I was not going to use. This is where we've brought in our brown just to add a little bit more depth to our image, just right towards the center of our little petals. So this coloring, I googled lotus flowers, And I came across a really pretty yellow down to the red at the very, very tips. So that's why I picked those colours. I'm going to quickly go through some of the colours that I used. So the red, the actual petals, I told you it was a great day for talking today. The actual petals are crimson red, which is PC 924, sunburst yellow. Actually, I'll give you all the numbers over on my blog, so you can easily go over there, write them down, and decide what you want to do. Okay, so here is our image or images sort of all cut up. This is going to be our greens. We're going to colour it in a very similar way. And I'm colouring, this is going to be a card base. So this is the 4th time I've stamped this image and coloured or white embossed it. It's not the 4th time. It's pretty much the 4th time I've coloured it, but this is the first time I've coloured the leaves. Working with our white first, adding in, we're going to add in a darker colour here, and we're going to work this the same way as we've done the other ones. So hopefully using a very, very light hand, adding all our definition to the center of the leaves, hopefully blending that out with one of the lighter colors, and just keep going until you are happy with it. So that was so sunburst yellow and then sienna brown. I just can't remember if I said sienna brown, but there you go. Leaves here, our leaves, our stems, that sort of thing, are all going to be apple green and dark green. So there's quite a difference between the two, but as you can see, they go together quite nicely, I think. With our seed pod, we've used 3 colours in the end. We've got canary yellow or yellow ochre, and I've used some of that sienna brown to, again, add that little bit of definition. So where the leaves, this flower, the way it's been drawn, you can see some of the darker bits in the leaves. It has these lines where it's showing you where things are overlapped, where things have been, the leaf of the flower has more definition. It's where you should shadow, basically. That's where you're shadowing. So you can see on the top where I am there, you can see that it's got the indentations, so we say. I don't know. I'm not too good with the technical side of things, but the way it's been drawn, you've been given ideas of where to colour, where your darker bits. Now, of course, in this leaf, the underneath is going to be darker. The whole thing is going to be darker, but I'm still going to add a little bit of colour, a little bit of lightness. So right there, it's like it's sort of folded back a little bit. There's going to be a darker colour, and you can see where I'm working that I believe that the colours are going to be darker. I mean, the whole thing is going to be darker, but I didn't want to colour the whole thing dark. Anywho, so we're working our way through it. So I will add more definition to that as I go. I think sometimes I've forgotten to go back in with my white. Oh, saying that, she just does it. And the other thing you need to be aware of is keeping your tip of your pencil quite sharp. That's a really good tip, honestly, because this way you can get into their fine little nooks and crannies, and you don't have to press very hard to get that wax into the tooth of the cardstock. Does that make any sense? As I said, I'm not very good with the technical side of it, but I like to colour and I like to make videos, so that's what we're going to do. So today's card is, of course, Little Bits Tuesday again. I will link her up below So you can contact her for any of your crafty needs if you're here in Melbourne, Australia. I will also have a link to my blog, which will have all the numbers. So I've told you the colour names of the pencils, but they will also have your numbers and also have the code for the stamp set if you so wish to purchase that. So here I'm coming through and just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So flowers have that multi-layer of things, and we are just going to try and layer this up. So I've got my first, well, it's officially my second layer, and I've bent the petals sort of inwards. A little bit inwards, some of them are a bit more outer, some of them are sort of twisted around a little bit, and just sort of we're roughing that thing up. And that is the whole of the flower, as you can see there. Now what I'm going to do is slowly try to build up my next lot of layers. So I've cut a petal off here, take some of the glue off so it's not terribly oozy. So I've got glue right at the center of the flower and it's raised up. You can see it there on the petal. So it gives it that illusion of 3D without being flat and straightforward. So here's our next little bit. I'll just put some foam dots again. I'm going to rough this up. And because you don't want a card that's like a stick and plonk. You want it with a bit of dimension. You want it to have a bit of character. And there's the next little bit of flower, and you can see I haven't coloured the centre in because we've got to do him. Again, rough the little bud and bend it around so the tips go down towards the card base. And I forgot a bit. So that little centre bit, he will be coloured in, but we're just trying to figure out what pieces I want to do what with. You don't want too much glue because you don't want everything oozing out everywhere, even though it should be right underneath it. And just hold that down for a little bit. So I've got the bottom, and then the next layer is raised up, but there's no real, I'm just sort of going as what I feel. And we're just going to hold those down because it's a really tiny little area that we're trying to get the glue to stick down. So this is where we've got a pot of canary yellow and ochre. Yellow ochre. Is that the word? Ochre? That is a word, but I don't know if I'm killing the pronunciation of it. It is a small area because you've got a lot of little details from the stamp. So we're gonna just colour him in. Pencils for me do take quite a while because it's not a medium that I play with an awful lot. I enjoy it. My Copics are my general go-to. Probably the next thing would be my watercolors, I would say. I reckon it would be my watercolors. And you can see I did stamp, for some reason I did stamp this out in black, and then I sort of went, nah, I'm not going to stamp it out in black because that's what all the black you can see on the back of the other one. Going to colour up our other little seed pod. And that's our flower sort of pretty much done. I just want to let the colour pencil sort of speak for itself. We're not really going to do too much more on the top of this one. So as you can see, it's the same card design, but we've added a little bit more dimension and we've coloured it in with pencils, so you can see what happens, how it changes it between coloured pencils and watercolour. and I think it's really nice. I love it. I think it's really cool. I was a little bit nervous about the whole fact that I am doing a very similar card, but I really wanted to have a play with this craft cardstock and coloured pencils. And I really wanted to have a play with the watercolour. So this way you get to check out how both of them can differ from the very, I don't want to say flat, but non-dimensional in the sense of we haven't raised anything up on the last week's card, to having a little bit more oomph to it. And as I said, I don't do too much with this card because I want to let all the dimension just speak for itself. So the last week we added a bit more sparkle, a bit more, well, we added splatters, we didn't really add sparkles. That's pretty much going to be the card. So I would really love, and it'd be really awesome if you could subscribe to this channel if you haven't. If it's the first time that you've been here, welcome. I hope you enjoyed my card. Have a look through the other videos and see if there's anything else that you'd like to take a fancy. It would be really great if you liked this video, and if you hit the bell, then you will get notified of whenever I upload a new video. That's it. That's our card. I hope you're well. Take care. Bye-bye.